Winter in South America, the breathtaking scenery and the almost fanatical support of the local people. Essential ingredients which made up round 5 of the 1996 FIA World Rally Championship, the Rally Argentina. The rally was based in the foothills of the Andes Mountains, northwest of the capital city, Buenos Aires. Leg 1 comprised 13 special stages to the west of the headquarters city, Cordoba, covering nearly 200 kilometers and taking the cars around 9 hours to complete before returning to the city for their first overnight halt. In South America, rallying is almost a religion. We can get a driver's eye view of the huge crowds from the Ford Escort of Carlos Sainz. Finland's Tommi Mäkinen, driving for the Mitsubishi team, arrived in Argentina leading the Drivers' World Rally Championship. This was his first time on this event, although you'd never have guessed. He'd already won this year's Safari Rally at his first attempt, remember. Colin McRae's record in Argentina isn't a good one. In 1994, he destroyed both his rally and recce cars, and he trashed his recce car again this year. Sure enough, his 1996 rally lasted only 6 stages before another spectacular retirement, his second of the year. An encounter with a bank led to the reigning world champion rolling his Subaru and, as in Indonesia, taking an early flight home. At $250,000 apiece, 2 written-off Imprezas meant that the team weren't over-impressed either. Subaru weren't the only team to have problems on day 1. For Carlos Sainz, a long afternoon of mechanical problems lay ahead, which started with nothing more serious than a chunk of the dashboard falling off, requiring his co-driver Luis Moya to hang on to it until the end of the stage. Things would get a lot worse though. Sainz then broke an output shaft in the Escort's front axle, a part considered so reliable that it wasn't even carried in the service vans at the next halt. That would have left Sainz with only 3-wheel drive for a total of 5 stages, so the team decided to swap the broken part on Sainz's car with the unbroken shaft on teammate Bruno Thierry's Escort. Leg 2 of the rally consisted of 10 stages to the north of Cordoba. Another 9-hour day would see a further 200 kilometers of competition, including the super special stage at Jesus Maria. With McRae out, Tommi Mäkinen and his co-driver Seppo Harjanne set off on day 2 with a 26-second lead. The Finnish pair were fastest on 2 of the first 3 stages of the day, and their only problem was a spin on the 4th, caught by our in-car camera. The narrow stage means Mäkinen has to retrace his steps to turn round, losing about 20 seconds in the process. Kenneth Eriksson knew that he'd have his work cut out to catch Mäkinen. He was trying hard, but the Swede would have a frustrating day. A problem with the centre differential on the Subaru meant that precious seconds were being lost. In 3rd place was the other Impreza of Piero Liati, which would also have a troubled day.
Tommi has been very fast today, but on our screen now, on the computer screen, showing that maybe center diff is not working as it should do, but they try to change some welding now, and hopefully it will be better, because it feels a little bit unpredictable, the car, or maybe I cut the tires too much, but I hope we can sort it out now, so we will try.
Liati's problems were more serious. The various fluids which were pouring from the car at the service area gave some indication of what had happened. Unlike his teammate, Piero's problems appeared to be self-inflicted.
On the last stage, we were just flying on a jump, but flying like ever in my life before. And when we were landing, we were just going up, 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 and suddenly the car started to go with the front through the ground. I mean, I think we made a hole when we were landing. And of course, I mean, we have broken everything.
Any damage to the transmission?
I mean, we didn't get first, second and third gear actually, but maybe it's not the problem of the gearbox, but the whole engine has moved. So I don't know.
How much time do you have left?
5 minutes.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
In the end, the Subaru mechanics managed to restore first and second gears, but not reverse. As the Impreza was pushed back, Piero must have been reminding himself not under any circumstances to spin the car. With background music supplied by the local version of Take That, the super special stage at Jesus Maria allows two cars to race against each other as well as against the clock. Despite a loose door, the Toyota Celica of Gilberto Pianezzola was in 7th place after the stage, while Richard Burns in the Mitsubishi Lancer was 5th. Like Carlos Sainz, Bruno Thierry was putting the events of the first day behind him. Liati's problems meant that Sainz was now 3rd and Thierry had climbed back to 6th place overall. Rui Madeira in another Toyota was 8th. The third and final day contained just 5 special stages, firstly to the north and then south of Cordoba. It would prove to be the most controversial day of the rally, if not the entire championship so far. It happened on stage 24, the very first stage of the day. From Mäkinen's in-car camera, you can just make out something blocking the little track which goes off to the left, forcing him to go right. Yet that track was actually the route the teams had practiced. If we go on board with the next driver along, Kenneth Eriksson, and stop the tape, you can clearly see that the way ahead is blocked, but Kenneth and his co-driver Staffan Parmander drive around the obstacle and carry on regardless. By the time the next car appears on the scene, Carlos Sainz's Ford Escort, more spectators have arrived and are pointing for him to drive down the wrong road. If we now show you the Mitsubishi of Richard Burns, taken from a helicopter, and again freeze the action, you can clearly see the blockage and the spectators. Burns too was forced to take the wrong route. The stage continued, although just as in Greece, it was Kenneth Eriksson who would be affected the most by the events. In Greece it was steering damage, but this time, 15 kilometres further into the stage, Eriksson and Staffan Parmander realised that they've got a puncture, and so stopped to change the wheel. Again, just as on the Acropolis rally, it's Carlos Sainz who stands to benefit from Eriksson's misfortune. He speeds past the Subaru, although the row was only just beginning. At the next service halt, the leading crews got together to debate the incident.
This junction was blocked, so we had to go this way to join the route here.
And what sort of distance are we talking about?
I would say roughly about 300-400 meters, as this is 150 meters.
You're actually leaving the main road and you go off to a small track. And it was quite difficult to find it during the recce. But this is definitely the correct route. And when we came this morning, it was blocked. But since we had it in the notes, we just went over the blocking of the road. But obviously, Tommy must have done the long route around it. So we had this problem already once in Greece, and I think they have nothing to do by cancel the stage.
My view is that I risk my life. I try to be professional. Maybe I'm not the best, but I try to be professional. And the organizers this year, they are proving that they are not professionals. They're just amateurs. They're just pure amateurs. And then we risk for what? For what are we risking this? You do all this investment for what? If it's not run by professionals, it's better not to do it. It's as simple as that.
As the final day drew to a close, the row rumbled on. Despite his problems, Bruno Thierry brought his Escort home in 5th place. 4th was the Mitsubishi Lancer of Richard Burns, who was suffering from a bad head cold and must have been more relieved than most to reach the finish. Burns had completed more miles on this one event than he had during the entire first half of the season and was now getting used to the car. The stewards would meet after the finish to decide whether to cancel stage 24, and so Kenneth Eriksson finished the rally in 3rd place. That meant that Carlos Sainz could finish 2nd. The Spaniard, though, must have been cursing the normally reliable part which broke on day 1. Without that time loss, he felt sure that he'd have been able to challenge Mäkinen. As it was, the niggling problems the Ford team were having, together with persistent rumours regarding management changes within the team, meant that morale was falling. Tommi Mäkinen, though, had once again driven superbly throughout the 3 days and made his 3rd victory of the year look almost easy.
180. Neppu oikealle 50, lyhyt oikein ja vasen eri plus.
No niin, Perry. Hyvä, hyvä.
Congratulations, it seems, is the same in almost any language.
Oh, well done.
After the stewards' meeting, the controversial stage 24 wasn't cancelled. Mäkkinen's winning margin was then 1 minute 35 seconds from a relieved Carlos Sainz, who was confirmed second, and an unhappy Kenneth Eriksson third. Burns and Thierry rounded off the top 5. His win left Mäkinen with a lead of 13 points in the World Drivers' Championship. Sainz was still second, but McRae's retirement means that he dropped to 4th place behind Eriksson. In the Manufacturers Series, Subaru still led, but Mitsubishi had closed the gap to 22 points, with Ford on 175.
You have quite a lead in the championship now. Are you quite confident you can win?
Yes, I have to say yes, because next event is 1,000 Lakes, and then Australia as well. It should be very good for us, and I can't see any reason why we couldn't have good chance to get a good result in San Remo and Catalonia.
The South Americans certainly know how to throw a party. Around 25,000 spectators packed into the Cordoba football stadium to see the finish ceremony. In all, nearly 2 million people saw the rally at some point. The Mitsubishi team must be delighted. Mäkinen's making something of a habit of winning. 3 victories from 5 events, and 2 of those were on his first attempt. An impressive performance by any standards, especially when you consider the competition.